We're starting what is probably the most decisive week of this year, or at least one of the most decisive weeks. And now right before Christmas too. Yes, the Bank of Japan's interest rate decision is coming up and we're getting a lot of data. Current economic data, finally, we really have to say, and we'll see whether the Fed may have even cut rates in vain. And with that, welcome to a new crypto update video. Yes, Bitcoin at $89,500. We've just barely held our support. So as we already took a closer look at everything yesterday during the live stream, now we're definitely going to take a closer look at it again. And of course, we'll also look at the altcoins. So make sure to stay tuned until the end. There's really a lot to discuss. But before we get started, as always, feel free to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, feel free to join the free Telegram Talk and Signal group. If you want to catch any trades or things like that, then definitely join in there. You'll find the link for it for free down in the video description. That's where you'll always get the latest info, even if I change anything about my trades or enter new ones. And if you want to trade as well, you can do all of that on my partner exchange, BingX. At the moment, you can secure up to 11,500 USDT in bonuses. I think it's a cool offer, plus a bunch of bonuses that you can ultimately use for free trades, trial funds, and so on that you can generate for yourselves. So just sign up using the link below in the video description. All right, let's get right into it now. I think we shouldn't waste any time. Bitcoin at $89,500. After our larger ABCDE correction, we are now in a bigger bear flag. So we can see the trend is clearly a bit upward. But last week we also had some issues here at this point. The 94,000 US dollar mark, that was ultimately also our short zone. Then over the weekend it went back down again. Last night we saw another slight sell-off down to $87,500. That means we grabbed the liquidity below these lows again, leaving another new wick behind. And then came the pump. This is now also our new Asia range at the same time, so we need to keep an eye on that. We're going to mark those right here now. We'll draw the first two lines so we know, okay, where is the first high and where is the first low of this week. And those will be very crucial in my opinion. In the short term, we could definitely push into the 92,000 US dollar range. Up here, we still have this red vector, which the market should actually grab in the short term, maybe with a little fake out, and then ultimately make a turnaround. If we look at the funding rates, yes, they're pretty mixed, but mostly quite negative. That also suggests a bit that we could at least move up into the 92,000 US dollar range again first. But then ultimately what I already pointed out yesterday in the live stream comes into play. In the heat map, I don't like where the liquidity is located, to put it that way. The big chunk that's now gone again at 89,000, or rather 88,000. We talked about that all last week, but I don't like that more and more liquidity is building up to the downside. And by to the downside, I mean the liquidity from the last 7 days. We have the first major position, a liquidity position down here at 86,000 US dollars, so right where we were last night. The second one, which is basically just as large, at 81,000 US dollars. And the third one, which has just appeared, is down here at $72,500. So these are the big orders down here that could ultimately be liquidated. It will be interesting to see how liquidity behaves here over the next few days, whether it stays or even increases, because the more likely it is, the more likely we are to move into these areas. And you know what's coming up this week? This week, we not only have the Bank of Japan, which will be on Friday morning, so since it's happening in the middle of the night, it's clear that we'll get a rate hike there, and there will definitely be a few more by next year as well. But it's almost 100% certain that this will happen on Friday. Then, of course, we also have all the economic data that will start coming out in the US from tomorrow. That means employment outside of agriculture, the data for November, so non-farm payrolls. Then retail sales, the unemployment rate, which will also be released tomorrow. So there's already a lot coming our way tomorrow. The whole thing will definitely continue on Thursday with the CPI data coming in, initial jobless claims, unemployment benefits. So you can see the week is absolutely packed with data. So no matter how it turns out, the direction will probably set the trend for now, for the next 2 or 3 weeks. That's why I'm curious to see how the markets will react. We'll briefly touch on something else a bit later at the end of the video, which is also an important point. But Bitcoin could, for now, go up to 92,000 US dollars. If we get rejected up here, we have a bigger problem, because then this rollover could very well happen to the downside. That's exactly the point I just mentioned, that a lot of liquidity has built up below. That would be exactly our WEEX down here where the first liquidation is, and the second one is exactly at Michael Saylor's entry. Interesting fact where it's currently accumulating. Otherwise, yeah, let's see how we start the new week. Let's move over to the altcoins. Altcoins, yeah, Ethereum is just moving sideways a bit, so it's neither here nor there at the moment. We're still, technically speaking, in wave 4 to the downside, which we've completed very, very well to the downside. We didn't make a lower low. I mean, sure, just barely below the 1 closed. That means theoretically it's still possible that this is wave 4. Wave 5 should then actually move upwards. But the problem with wave 5 is always that we don't know where it will end. A fifth wave doesn't necessarily mean we need another higher high, but the fifth wave could theoretically also end right here if we quickly pull up the FIB level from our interim top up here. Down to our low, we could theoretically already have completed wave 5 here at the golden pocket. That would mean we've already finished it. That would mean we could somehow reach the region of $92,000 for Bitcoin. And for Ethereum, around $3,300. So be a bit cautious there as well. As for me, I actually doubled my position. You know that. I posted it in the Telegram group. Here, got lucky with Ethereum, wave 4 completed, doubled the position. The entry is now at $2,900, so that means it's right here below this wick. If we fall to that level, the position will be stopped out. Same thing with Solana. I'm completely disappointed with Solana. I haven't gone long here either. So basically, the position is just waiting here for now. So at the moment, I'm not going to do anything here at all, at least for now. I'm just waiting for now because the structure we currently have with Solana doesn't appeal to me at all. It's just complete sideways price action, and there's absolutely no volume in the market right now. That's not what I currently want to see in any altcoins. And to get straight to the topic of altcoins, let's talk about the Russell. So Russell hit a new all-time high last week. Let's quickly take a look at the daily time frame. Yes, we had a new all-time high, but the very next day it closed below it again. That's not what I want to see. But I also said higher low. But now comes the important point I want to talk about. 40% of the companies in the Russell have negative earnings. So much for the idea that this will kick off the altcoin season when in the end all the companies included in the Russell aren't making any profit either. So be careful, even if you use that as an indicator. Yes, the Russell has broken out. Now the altcoin season is coming. Even there, the companies aren't really staying afloat. Important, very important point. I just wanted to mention that to you. All right, then let's move on to the traditional markets. And we'll start with gold. Gold, once again today, it's unbelievable. $3,000, $4,344. Once again, the top in this region. So gold just keeps pumping and pumping and pumping endlessly. For me, that's simply a warning sign. Times of crisis. As I said, Japan, all the data is coming out this week. If the data turns out positive, gold will probably drop a bit at first, and so will silver, because then we'll see, oh, okay, maybe things aren't actually that bad. But I do have some bigger concerns that this whole situation might escalate a bit further this week. I'm not changing anything about my positions. I'm not doing anything with silver anyway. I'm still staying on the sidelines there. Other than that, USD/JPY continues to fall. That's not really surprising given the outlook that Japan will raise interest rates, because of course the yen will then appreciate again. The dollar is being devalued. Last week, we already saw a devaluation of the dollar due to the Fed's rate cut. I'm curious to see if we can climb a bit higher again. But at the moment, things aren't really looking good. So for everyone, the shorts are great. So take profit 1. We already took that last week. The thing is definitely still running for now. Will we really get back up here again? Into the sell zone. That would be another 1% pump. It'll be difficult, but you can keep an eye on it. Otherwise, the euro is rising again in this context because the dollar is, of course, also falling. The dollar is being devalued just as we discussed earlier. So all business as usual. Then the DAX is still in this huge range that we've had here for over half a year, but not much is really happening there either. Dow Jones, last week at the end of the week, it lost ground, took a hit. It landed exactly in our zone here in the end. Here as well, starting tomorrow, depending on how we actually kick off the new week today, I'll consider whether I might even take a short position on the Nasdaq, because I really don't like the whole price action. I already showed you this picture yesterday in the live stream. Wait, I'll show it to you again now in the video. With the VIX, that is the volatility index. The VIX term structure is a separate index, and whenever it was down here below 0.8, it always led to at least a 10% correction in the market, and this week would simply be a good opportunity for that. But that doesn't mean I'm shorting everything without reason. Instead, I'm consciously picking what to go after. And right now, that's the S&P 500 or the Nasdaq, which are suitable for this. S&P 500, especially if we somehow manage to reach the region of 7,000 points, maybe even today. At the start of the week, that would definitely be an option. I've already mentioned the Russell. Otherwise, the volatility index is pretty low, but I think a lot will still happen this week. This week is definitely going to be very, very exciting. If you want to trade, definitely use a stop loss, because just look at the Japanese bonds, 1.95%, the 20-year ones at 2.92%. Also, the US bonds, let's take a quick look at those as well. The 2-year bonds are at 3.5%, the 5-year ones at 3.7%. The bond market is definitely under pressure. And if Japan, which is actually pretty quick, raises interest rates, it will obviously have a major impact on USDJPY as well. Then we'll see a complete short-term market crash here, just like we saw back then, with those immediate sell-offs, or like what happened here back on the 10th of July when it all started. Then things could get pretty nasty, because in the end, the bond market could also become a bit volatile and things like that. So be prepared, but that doesn't mean you should just short everything for no reason. We're well positioned with Bitcoin. We still have the long open on Ethereum, and we have the short open on Bitcoin. Let it run, take profits, and we'll see how things develop over the next few days. I think today will still be relatively calm, but starting tomorrow, it will get much, much more volatile. And with that, I'd say that's it from me. I wish you all, of course, a good start, and of course, a successful start to the new trading week. We might hear from each other again later, or definitely over on the Smart Crypto channel. Otherwise, I'd say have a great day, see you tomorrow, and as always, feel free to leave a like. And finally, stay crypto.